flame, passion, fury. Visceral in nature and needing little description, the fire type is here. Hey guys, it's Elogee. I'm joined by Pockety.
Hey guys, it's Pockety. I am joining Elogee.
And today we'll be going over two types. The first one, of course, going to be the fire type. So, Pockety, what is your favorite fire type Pokemon?
Well, this one was a little tough, but I came to the conclusion that my favorite fire type is Arcanine, the Pokemon that was supposed to be legendary in the first generation and is the legendary Pokemon, though not being legendary. And those that know will understand what I just said, but for those who don't know, that's a really weird sentence. But yeah, I mean, it's always been really cool. Great stats from Gen 1 and onward, awesome abilities. All of them are great. It learns every move. It's basically Mew. It's a little, using it in game. I feel like I always use it in Black 2, which is my least favorite game, but that's the game I use it most in. So there's always that eternal struggle of like, when do you evolve it? Because you want to learn all the amazing moves, Outrage and Crunch and Flamethrower, Heat Wave, all that stuff. But then you have to keep it a Growlithe forever. But it's just so cool. And so Arcanine is my choice. What are your thoughts on my choice of Arcanine?
Unexpected, but expected at the same time, because I know you, I know you recently had experience with it competitively, like in draft leagues, and it did well for you. The problem I have with Growlithe competitively, in contrast to what you said, where it learns everything, I feel like its move pool could be better. Like if it had, I don't know, like Earthquake, or like it isn't bad, but I just felt like when I tried using it competitively, it wasn't the combination of the move pool and stats. I just never was able to make it work the way you do. So I can see why it is your favorite. And in game, I use it. I think I also used it in the one time I played through Black or White 2. Yeah, in game, like you said, evolving it is a struggle because you got to learn those level up moves as a Growlithe, but it's worth it because Arcanine is pretty awesome. So, yeah, solid decision.
I'm glad you support that decision, although I think you were just complaining that it doesn't have enough of a move pool, even though it has infinite moves like Garlic Jr. But anyways, who is your favorite fire type?
I had, like you, a hard time deciding. Kind of. I have a lot of favorites, but at the top is Magmortar. I've liked it ever since, not Pearl, but Platinum. I didn't have one in Pearl, but when Platinum came around, I was like, I want to use a Magmortar. So I got myself a Magmortar, and back then it was like, decent. I didn't use one competitively till like last year, so that was like 10 years without using one. And it was kind of lying dormant among my favorite fire types, but since I started using it competitively again, it has reached the top of my favorites list. Just like, I've always loved its design. Feel like Electivire and Magmortar were two of the coolest of the Gen 4 Re-Evos, if you know what I'm talking about. And Magmortar, it's just awesome. It's very strong. It could be a little faster, but it's not bad for my taste. Decent move pool and everything, and just pretty awesome. What do you have to say about Magmortar?
I also think it's pretty awesome. It does have the weakness that many of the mons that evolved that generation have, of like not being fast enough to really compete with like the OU stuff, but it's pretty solid. And the Thunderbolt, Solar Beam options, definitely something that's good if you can give it Z moves. Flame Charge can be pretty wild as well. I've used it a couple times and I've really enjoyed it as well. So nothing. The one thing I will say bad about it is, though, even though I don't like Magmar's design 100%, I like Magmortar's less. Like visually, I think Magmortar just looks a little weird, but overall Magmortar's pretty cool though. So you picked Magmortar. Who were your honorable mentions? Who else were you thinking about?
Well, among them were mostly starters, and the top two that made it were Infernape, who I mentioned in my fighting type honorable mentions as well, and Delphox. Yeah, I mentioned Infernape already. So Delphox, it was my favorite of the Gen 6 starters. Fennekin's a cute little fox thing, but it evolves into this like badass fox wizard thing that everyone complains about. Like, I would understand if they complained about it competitively, because it's not very like prominent like in standard play, because there's just stuff that outclasses it. It's got niches, but it's definitely outclassed in a lot of areas, so I could understand if people didn't like that. But I think a lot of people just don't like the design. I don't know what it is, because I personally love the design. I think the wizard with the staff and everything is amazing. I don't know why people dislike it. What do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, I think everyone just had such strong opinions about like where the fire types have been the last several gens that they were like, oh, just give us anything that stays on 4 legs and we'll be happy. And then they... Do you not think that that's what happened?
I mean, it probably is what happened now that you mention it, I guess.
I feel like that was just all the commentary was like, we just don't want it to turn into something that's like this standing upright, like humanoid kind of thing. And oh my God, if it's fighting again, I will literally jump off a bridge. And so they didn't make it fighting, so people didn't actually kill themselves, but they still didn't like it because it was still like this humanoid-ish, like standing up, and that's my thoughts on that.
Okay. How about your honorable mentions then?
So I have 2 honorable mentions. One of them, like yours, is a starter. I had to give a shout out to Charizard because, Gen 1, the original monster. At times it was my favorite, but it gets too much love, and like I have to like it less because of that. With it being the only starter that is currently available in Sword and Shield outside of the Sword and Shield generation starters, that was weird. Like giving it 2 megas when all the other ones just got 1. Like it just, it gets too much love for me to really love it like the most. But it's Charizard. You gotta love it. Ash's Charizard fighting against like Articuno and like against
Blastoise,
the other the Charcific Valley, that stuff. It coming back for Unova, fighting against Dragonite, fighting against Iris's Dragonite. That was pretty wild. Like it just, it's a boss, but if they just gave it like the appropriate love, but they give it too much love. It's kind of like why I like Raichu more than Pikachu. It's why I have to like some fire type other than Arcanine, other than Charizard, which was Arcanine. And then the one other mon that I have for fire for honorable mention is Ho-Oh. It's so cool. It didn't get its own movie like Lugia did, although I think it was part of like one of those more recent movies that I didn't really watch. It's just really cool. And I remember I pre-ordered Silver from the Walmart that was nearest town, like 40 minutes away, and we drove there. And they're like, oh, we sold all of them. We just have gold left. She's like, what do you mean you sold them? We pre-ordered it. And my mom was ready to like Kamehameha blow the place up. And I was like, oh no, it's fine. I'll take gold instead. Like, I'm not that's fine. That still works. That's a game. And I got gold, and Ho-Oh was on that. So for that reason, I liked Ho-Oh more than Lugia. And so that's why Ho-Oh is honorable mention. So what do you think about Charizard and Ho-Oh?
Well, first of all, what's your opinions of Charizard's Mega Forms?
Well, I mean, both are cool. I originally liked Y a lot more because I had Y, and visually I do like Y more, although that's a little weird for me because I like dragon types. So I should like X more, but I just visually like Y more. I wish like both of them had X's color scheme as a mega or as a shiny, but I wish that they kept like the regular Charizard colors for their mega, and that is like my biggest complaint for X. But yeah, I still like both of them.
Okay, I kind of agree with that. I prefer X also, and like you mentioned about the color scheme, I think it would look cool with the normal orange, but I don't mind the black. But I love both of its mega forms. Charizard non-mega I've never really loved. Like even back in the day, I thought I preferred Blastoise and Venusaur, and it's just always been not one of my favorites. I don't really know how else to say it. Like, it's cool, but just never really been one of my favorites. As for Ho-Oh, I've always been Team Lugia. I've never really gotten into any of the Ho-Oh kind of lore, I guess. Like it was in that, like I never saw that movie you mentioned. I know it was in the anime, the first episode, but like I don't really know enough about Ho-Oh. Don't really have a whole lot to say about it other than knows sacred fire and gives sacred ash. So it's kind of cool.
It created the legendary doges.
Oh, true. And yeah,
you have to like it for that.
Yeah, and it lives in Eckerteak, which is best city. So shout out to Ho-Oh. Okay, so
what do you think about the fire type overall?
Yeah, I don't know. Like competitively, I usually try to fit a fire type on my team just because like I'm really paranoid of losing to like bulky steals. So lately, I've always tried to incorporate fire at least somewhere on my team. You know, fire is just very offensive. It's very easy to exploit defensively and very easy to take advantage of offensively. So definitely an offensive type. I kind of like it in that regard, but it isn't really one of my favorite types. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I like fire type a lot. It's definitely a more offensive, like more aggressive type. It's not something that can be defensive really, which is sad because I do like they're not, obviously not my favorites, but like I like some more like bulky fire types, and like a lot of fire types seem like they're not the fastest. They're just like if they take a hit, they're going to hit you super hard. But yeah, fire is a cool type, has good coverage, you know, kills Scizor and Ferrothorn, which is always a good thing. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it.
Okay, that's kind of how I feel too. So that'll be that for the fire type. And now we can move on to part 2 of the video. Water is fundamental to life, but for as beneficial as it can be, water can also cause cataclysmic damage to anything standing in its way. The Pokemon able to utilize this magnificent power are known as the water types. So here we are for part 2, and to coincide with fire, we got water. So you went first last time, so would you like me to go first this time?
Why don't you start us off with the water type?
Okay, so for my favorite water type, this was a little difficult because there are a lot of water type Pokemon, and I do happen to like a lot of them, though at the top, firmly sitting, is my boy Swampert. It was my first starter in the Gen 3 games in Ruby, and though I do like the other Gen 3 starters as well, Swampert is, you know, definitely at the top of those. It's among the top of my starters overall. Mudkip is cool. Swampert is awesome. I don't really like Mega Swampert as much. Like, I'll use it if I want to use a rain team or something, but I prefer regular Swampert. The Prime Swampert, in my opinion, is like bulky, just to take hits for days, except grass ones, of course, and you know, get up rocks, earthquake, maybe roar. That is Swampert to me. Like, Gen 4 Swampert is my kind of Swampert, even though it came out in Gen 3. But yeah, always loved Swampert. Definitely my favorite water type. How do you feel about that?
I mean, Swampert is really rad. I feel like anyone that has a 4-time weakness that doesn't have like multiple 4 times weaknesses tend to just be really good, and that's like how they have a 4-time weakness, that everything else is not bad for it. You know, Gen 3 starters, all of them are awesome, so it's got that going for it. I remember the very first playthrough I had for Ruby, because that was the version that I had to start Gen 3. I saw Poochyena. It looked like Houndour. I was like, oh, so this must also be fire type, so I'm going to pick the water type. And so I fell into using Swampert first. Future playthroughs, I picked other mons, but Swampert's still, you know, cool for that. And I also remember shout out to Mudshot being a good move and you not knowing what it was, and I told you that you should have it because it's good, and then you remembered Mud Sport instead of Mudshot.
Good times.
You remember that?
I remember you telling me about it. I think I erased it from my own memory, but I remember you telling me about it, and then I kind of remembered it.
Okay.
Did you not hear any of that, or what?
I just heard you remembered me remembering to remember it or whatever you said, and then it was like just silence for some time.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's that, who is your favorite water type Pokemon?
I think it should come as no surprise. My favorite water type Pokemon is Starmie. Starmie, has been awesome from Gen 1. It gets all the coverage in the universe. It's been really, really cool. Featured by one of our main characters who is better at battling than Ash. Has that psychic type, which was everything back in the day. Rapid Spin, if it exists, I don't think it exists I don't think Starmie is in Sword and Shield, but Starmie is really cool and giving it Rapid Spin for the +1 speed. Analytics, which is an ability, I think, but I think that's its ability, right?
Yeah.
I don't ever use that one though. I always use Natural Cure. I always end up switching in on Toxics, and then I'm so happy that I always make the decision to use Natural Cure because I never understand how analytics works. But yeah, Scald, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon. Shout out to Flash Cannon Starmie. And what do you have to say about Flash Cannon Starmie and other things about Starmie?
Flash Cannon Starmie is the GOAT, so nothing more needs to be said about that. But as for Starmie in general, yeah, it's good. I never really cared for it much back in the day. I only started liking it Gen 6, really, once I started using it competitively. Although I was enlightened to the fact that Gen 1, you could breeze through the game with the Starmie that knew Surf, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Psychic, so that's pretty funny. Though I never did that. I don't think I've ever used a Starmie in game, which is something I'll have to do. But yeah, competitively, Starmie's amazing. I've used both of its abilities. It's just great. Rapid Spin could be offensive too, could be defensive. It's just all around a very good mon. Yeah, I can definitely see why it's your favorite.
Are you surprised at all it was my favorite?
I mean, no, because I didn't know what your favorite would be, so not really surprised it was Starmie. So, other than Starmie, who is your honorable mentions for water type?
It's a Pokemon game, so 7.8, too much water. There were 3 honorable mentions for me. The other mons I want to mention for the water type are Jellicent, super thick. It is a spin blocker, which seems to be more important nowadays with spin being so deadly. But, Scald, Shadow Ball, Recover, what else do you need? And then my other 2, Kingdra, so the actual demon of the 2nd generation. Anyone who had trouble with Miltank is a noob. Kingdra was the actual thing that was hard. And then the remakes, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, oh my god, I can never easily handle Kingdra with Claire. It's ridiculous. But that first water dragon that basically has no weaknesses back then because Dragon Breath is the move that exists.
Yeah, and Outrage if you have a Dragonite.
But she's like level 40 and is over leveled, so you don't have a Dragonite. Yeah. Because you don't cheat like Lance with your level 30 Dragonite. And then my third water that I had to type because I needed to pick more waters is Milotic. And again, just with water type, I always just think of these thick things that can just take hits for days, and that is Milotic. Have that flame orb or just get burned from switching in on a Scald and then never ever die. Recover. It gets some weird moves. I remember trying and then failing to use a coil set that was physical against you in a battle. I feel like it was in a league battle that I tried that, and that didn't go over well. But Milotic is still really cool. Scald, Ice Beam, Mirror Coat, Refresh. I think it gets Refresh. Recover I mentioned already. So Jellicent, Kingdra, Milotic. Thoughts?
Jellicent, we mentioned, I believe, in the Ghost episode. It's good. Milotic, though, similar to Jellicent, bulky water. No Ghost type, though. It's just solid water. Solid water. No, it's just pure water. So you can only hit it with grass and electric to try to take it down, and it's so hard because it's so bulky. It's got insane special defense, and with Marvel scale, it's got insane physical defense, and it's got good HP, recover, and it never I can never take this thing out, and I just have nightmares about this thing. I don't think I've ever used one competitively or in game. It's just never really been my thing. Definitely have to get around to trying it though, because it's cool looking. So yeah, I'll get around to doing that. For Kingdra, Yeah, Claire's Kingdra needs to be stopped. Like, good lord. Yeah, like you said, there's nothing that can really kill it, like, at that point of Gen 2 or the Gen 4 remake. So, yeah, Claire needs to be...
I feel like it is harder to stop in the Gen 4 remakes. The only thing I can ever try to do, because I am apparently a masochist and I always choose Chikorita. So my Meganium, I always teach Frenzy Plant when I get to Blackthorn, just to try to OHKO when it comes in the Kingdra before it's too late.
Does it kill?
Not from full. So usually, like, I have to do some damage, it kills someone, and then Meganium comes in, and I have to hope not to miss with Frenzy Plant.
Oh, okay. Living on the edge, but you gotta live on the edge to take out that Kingdra. So, yeah, Claire's Kingdra needs to be stopped.
Yeah, I agree. So who are your honorable mentions for the water types?
To go along with Melodic, I had Gyarados, who's the other water snake, who we mentioned multiple times in like all the past episodes. Nothing more needs to be said about that. And the other one is another starter in Blastoise, who I haven't mentioned. But yeah, Blastoise, I love it as a spinner. I always used to use a set with like Rapid Spin, Scald, Protect, and Yawn. that was my...
I remember your yawning Blastoise.
That was my set. No one take that set. That is mine. That is patented. But yeah, Blastoise, I love it competitively and casually. Every Blastoise I ever had knew like Surf, Hydro Pump, Blizzard, or Skull Bash, and Bite. That's all you needed.
That moves.
The Mega Blastoise is very cool too. Nice and strong. I don't know which one I like better. Probably regular Blastoise, but they're both very cool. How do you feel about Gyarados, Blastoise?
I mean, as you've mentioned, we've discussed Gyarados infinitely. Red is the right color for that. And for Blastoise, I love Blastoise. I prefer Mega Blastoise with my experiences from XYUU and just from other times in UU, but especially from the UU battles. Just nothing could ever kill it. Like, it was pretty much a 2-for-1 always. But it didn't matter, you outsped it. Like, it took 3 hits to kill it, and it would OHKO 2 Mons in the meantime with, that Aura Sphere, Water Pulse / Hydro Pump / Scald, Ice Beam, Dragon Pulse, and Rapid Spin exists, but it's hard to fit on the Mega, although with the new version of Rapid Spin, when Blastoise is released on Sword and Shield, it will be pretty wild. So yeah, gotta love the Blastoise.
Okay. What do you have to say about the water type overall?
Water type is awesome. There are a lot of variations on it. I find most games it's hard to pick just one water type because there are so many of them, as IGN pointed out. But yeah, I mean, water is definitely one of the best types. It's very balanced, very fluid. Like, it can be very offensive, Greninja type. It can be very like defensive, like the Milotic. Like, it's just, all around really good. What do you think about the water type?
Pretty much exactly what you said. That's what I was going to say. It can be very offensive, like strong Hydro Pumps from things like Kingdra or Greninja, or defensive, like you said, with Melodic, Jellicent, stuff like that. And yeah, the thing about in-game, like, there are so many water types. There's a lot of water in the game, and there's a lot of like fish and water types in the grass. So there's just water types everywhere, which is a good thing because water types are great. So that's how I feel as well. So I believe that will conclude today's episode. I'm Elogee.
I'm Pockety.
And we shall see you for the next episode of the 12 Days of Pokemon Types. See you then.